out again. It's a redskin.
Guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the title, this is my daughter's winter hair care routine. So I wanted to throw this video in here for December because obviously it's winter time, and when you're indoors and things like that, your hair can get dry from the heat. It can cause breakage and things like that. So I wanted to show you guys the products that I use, just talk a little bit about how I take care of my daughter's hair. When she was a baby, my daughter didn't have any hair, right? It was really thin, really bald, but that's okay. Some children are born with lots of hair, some children are not. Even though she did not have a lot of hair, I wanted to use products on her scalp to help her hair grow and to stimulate growth so her hair can grow, and as you can see, it worked. So I use quite a bit of products for my daughter, so I just wanted to show you guys what I do when it's time to wash her hair. So for her actual hair washing routine, we wash her hair, or I wash her hair about maybe every 2 weeks, and then if I'm pushing it a little bit, or if she has like tiny box braids in her hair or something like that that last a little bit longer, I'll wash it once a month. But I have only done that so far maybe twice in her lifetime, so it's typically every 2 or 3 weeks. It's not too long that I go with leaving a bunch of products in her hair, because I do oil her scalp. I oil the tips of her braids to prevent any breakage or anything like that, and I do switch up the products here and there if I feel like her hair is stagnant. Products that we use for my daughter's hair, we go in with the avocado line from Design Essentials. As you know, Design Essentials is a professional shampoo, so I love that for her because it's very moisturizing and it does its job. It keeps her hair nice and moisturized, and it makes sure that there's no breakage in her hair or anything like that. Her hair does get dry, but not to the point where I'm like, oh, maybe the shampoo isn't working for her. So we use the shampoo and conditioner from them, and then I'm also going in with the Shea Moisture Jamaican Black castor oil leave-in conditioner or hair mask. I'm using that because it worked wonders for my hair, and you guys know I'm dry, so it works so well for her hair. So I use it in her hair. I usually put a cap on her head and let it sit for about 5 minutes, because it can be like a little itchy, like, you know, when your scalp is sweating and things like that and you put a cap on with the conditioner, it does become a little itchy. I only let it sit for about 10 minutes, and then I take it off and rinse her hair out and proceed with her normal wash day as usual. So what I do here in the beginning is I go in with the shampoo. I wash her hair about 2 to 3 times depending on how long I haven't washed her hair for, and depending on how much product or how long it took for the water to rinse out the product. So I do run her hair underwater for a very long time. It may seem short to you guys, but for me it's about 7 minutes where I just let the water drench her hair. I have not done any kind of like porosity test for my daughter's hair. I don't think it's needed right now. She's only 3. I don't think, you know, there's an issue with her hair at all. I just think it does get a little dry, and probably knowing the porosity of my daughter's hair will help me narrow down the products. But the products that we've been using have been working so far. Every time I rinse out the products for her hair at the very end of her wash, her curls are flourishing. They're bouncy, they're light, they're very nice. So it's like, I don't want to mess anything up right now, so I'm just gonna continue doing what I'm doing. But in terms of, you know, heat and everything on her hair, I am struggling with that because I don't know when is the right time to put a blow dryer to her hair. So she's never had flat irons, hooded blow dryers, regular blow dryers, no type of heat whatsoever, and I attribute that to her curls being so nice because they're not damaged, and I don't want to damage them, right? But when it comes time to braid my daughter's hair, it gets a little difficult because her hair curls up so fast. Because I let her hair air dry, the curls go into their natural state and they're very tight. So I don't know when would be the right time to actually blow dry or put any kind of heat on my daughter's hair. I'm going to continue to try to braid her hair as normal, and if it gets too difficult, then we'll figure it out. So if there's any hairdressers, licensed cosmetologists, anybody in the comments, let me know, what age did you start blow drying your daughter's hair or putting heat on their hair, and what age would you recommend to start something like that? But yeah, that is pretty much it. So I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and enjoy this wash, and I will be back later on. Alright guys, so after I detangle her hair, while the shampoo is in there, and after I want to say maybe 2 to 3 washes, I'm not sure how many I did in this video. She didn't have much product in her hair, but I think I washed it 3 times. But after I do that, I go ahead and rinse it out, and I don't use hot water on my daughter's hair because that can also strip and dry the hair. I use lukewarm water because she doesn't like cold water on her at all. So I use lukewarm water to rinse her hair out and just wash her hair throughout the process. But I wanted to know from you guys, how do you guys feel about how often you're supposed to trim your child's hair? And I also need to know, like, is it the same for adults, or is it the same, you know, that we do our hair? Because I have heard from many hairdressers that I've been to that you're supposed to get your end clips every 3 to 6 weeks. Some say every 6 to 8, every 6 months. So I guess it depends on the person, but I would love to know, do you trim your child's hair yourself, or do you let a professional do it? And if you do it yourself, how often are you doing it? So for Malaya, I do in between 6 to 9 weeks. I don't go any longer than that, just because I don't want the split ends to get worse and like break off her hair. So I try to stick with every 6 to 9. And then I also want to know about oils. Have you guys like mixed your own oils to put in your children's hair, and what oils do you use? So for Malaya, when she first started getting hair, I used a sweet almond oil. Then I started using peppermint oil, jojoba oil, black castor oil or Jamaican black castor oil in her hair. I would just mix all of those together and boil them down, and then, you know, put them in an oil bottle and just distribute them in her hair. The peppermint oil, the scent is kind of overpowering, so I only use a tiny bit of that, but it's been working so far. So that's what I use for her hair. Guys, so I am going to leave you with some tips and tricks that helped my daughter hair grow. At least that's what I think helped. So I am not a professional. These are things that just helped us, and they may not work for your child because our children are different. Hair types or all of that kind of stuff is different, but I'm gonna let you guys know anyway. So obviously the first thing that we mentioned was the moisturizing products, moisturizing shampoo, conditioner, things that are hydrating to the hair and hydrating to the scalp. You definitely need your scalp to be nice and clean and free of debris and all that kind of stuff in order to promote hair growth. Your hair is not going to grow if your scalp can't even push the hair follicles out to grow. They do say your hair grows 6 inches a year, so you need to make sure you're keeping your scalp nice and healthy and clean in order for that to happen. So the next thing is clipping ends. Of course, your hair will split from the bottom. The ends are the oldest part of your hair. They will split from the bottom and then continue up the shaft of the hair strands. If you're not clipping your ends, they're going to continue to go up, and then your hair is going to be damaged. So make sure you're clipping your ends. Now, in terms of how often you should be clipping your ends, I also feel like that is up to the child, meaning if their hair seems a little bit more dry, if their ends split a little faster, you might want to clip them a little more often than the normal 6 to 9 weeks or whatever frame you're using or sticking by. The next step would be, I would say, to not put your hair in too tight of styles. And what I mean by that is, if you're using kind of like rubber bands, because I use rubber bands on my child's hair, but I also use oil which around the rubber bands, which will lubricate them, and when it's time to take them off, they won't be so hard and it won't cause any tugging or pulling at the strands of the hair. So use oil on the rubber bands before you put them in the child's hair, and then I also oil like each section of the hair afterwards as well. The next thing would be to grease your child's scalp, y'all. The next thing is for the type of grease. So the grease that I use for my daughter's hair is Blue Magic, but it's the white one. I think it's the coconut oil one. I love that one for her hair. It doesn't cause any itching to her like the blue one did. So we use the white Blue Magic hair grease. So make sure you're greasing your child's scalp. Make sure you're parting it, all kinds of sections, all different ways to get the full scalp nice and greased. And then the next thing is washing your child's hair often. I've noticed with my hair, because I have a lot of flakiness, a dry scalp, I have to wash my hair more often than I would, because I want to keep that away. I want to make sure my scalp is nice and healthy and not giving a place for those flakes to live. So you would do that as well. Now, not washing it too often, because you don't want to dry it out with stripping the hair and stripping the scalp of those natural oils. And then another thing would be to make sure that you are tucking your child's ends, meaning if you're putting your child's hair in a protective style and then you have braids, the tips of the hair I oil and then I tuck them under, like roll them a little bit, so they're not exposed to just all dry air or dry heat or whatever. So I make sure I tuck her hair as well, and then just make it look cute with the style that you did some way somehow. And the last thing will obviously be protective styles. Make sure you're putting your child's hair in protective styles. If it's not like a special occasion where they have a show or they're doing something, make sure that you're putting their hair in nice styles that will protect their hair and keep them in for quite a bit, because those natural oils that your children have in their hair may also go ahead and help their hair grow. So that is it, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.